Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Digital Nomad Diaries. This is a series on my channel where I talk about digital nomad life in general, anything to do with long-term travel and also basics of backpacking. Now in this video I'm going to talk all about TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, which is something that I am now doing in order to prolong my travels by earning money on the road and being location independent, whatever that means. Now this video was actually requested by Animals. I'm assuming that's not your real name, and actually I was going to do this video anyway, so I wanted to talk about how a TEFL works and my experience basically. Your experience may differ, but I want to tell you what I've gone through. So last year, I can say that now because it's now 2018, in October I did a TEFL with tefl.org.uk. Let's say that again, tefl.org.uk. They are based in Scotland, and it's basically a 120-hour TEFL. You'll hear this a lot. There are various different lengths of a TEFL which you can do, and a 120-hour TEFL is made up of 5 things. These are a grammar course, a teaching methodology course, video observation, teaching large classes, and telephone teaching. 5 parts. And a bit of advice in terms of doing a TEFL. So if you're looking to teach in another country, whether that be in a classroom, in a language school, or even teaching online, which I'm going to talk about more in a little bit, 120-hour TEFL is a good investment, because in terms of what employers look for or what online apps look for, 120-hour TEFL is the one they will look for. But before we go into those 5 points in more detail, I just want to talk about teaching in other countries. So this is a bit of a minefield, and anyone who has been in the same position as me and is teaching in another country, you'll understand what I mean when I say this. So generally in the vast majority of countries you will need a bachelor's degree of some sort to teach in that country. I'm talking about countries like Japan, where I am now, countries like China, Hong Kong, even Vietnam. So with Vietnam you need to have a degree in order to get your work permit. If you don't have a degree, you'll be working illegally basically. It is possible. And there are some countries which you can teach in with just a TEFL. I'm going to put a list of some of those next to my head, and a great way of finding out where you can do this is by going to the TEFL website and searching TEFL job search. So countries such as Cambodia, Thailand, a lot of countries in Central America, Mexico, South America, countries like Brazil, Ecuador, and actually a lot of countries in Europe, which I was quite surprised with, countries like Spain, Italy, Czech Republic, Slovakia, etc. There's loads of them. So you have a lot of options if you don't have a degree like me to teach, if you want to teach in an actual classroom environment. Now the sun is completely in my eyes, but I'm going to carry on. So let's move on to the 5 sections of the 120-hour TEFL. So the grammar course. Okay, I'm going to be honest about this one. When I first started doing it, because I'm a native English speaker, I think I was quite complacent and thought, well, I speak English every day, I know English grammar, but actually I was really surprised, and I thought I would be surprised as well to a certain degree that, you know, a lot of my grammar that I speak with on a regular basis, and you've probably seen this in my videos, is not correct. So there were many things which I did during that grammar course that I thought, hang on a minute, that's not right, but actually it was right, and what I was doing was wrong. And one of the things about the grammar course which is really useful is that although you may talk in past perfect continuous and you may use modal verbs and phrasal verbs, etc. on a daily basis, you might not actually know that that is the term that is used to describe them. And when you start teaching, the vast majority of your students would have already had learning experience at school or college or whatever, and that's how they would have been taught. So they would have been taught what a phrasal verb is, or a modal verb, or an adverb. So it's important that when they say, oh, is that a phrasal verb, it's important that you actually know what they're talking about and you can describe what a phrasal verb is yourself. Now in the grammar course, in order to pass the grammar course, you need to pass quizzes which are at the end of each module basically. They're normally like 10 questions which are either multiple choice or a gap fill. The thing about this which I didn't think was too good actually was the fact that you have to get 70% in each quiz in order to pass them, and if you don't pass them, and I didn't pass all of them first time, believe it or not, you can do it again. And because it's multiple choice, it just simply tells you this is what you answered before, so it's pretty obvious which one you need to choose because it's the other option. So in a way, if you're really bad at English grammar, you can still pass it, which I thought was a bit iffy, to be honest with you. There's no assignments in the grammar course, so that comes later. Let's move on to that. Now let's move on to the teaching methodology course. This is probably the most important part of the 120-hour TEFL, I would say. So the thing about this is that it will teach you all the different ways in which you will teach your students, from all the different lesson plans, from PPP to skills-based, things like that. And it's really important because this is how you are going to actually teach the English language to your students. It also teaches you things about discipline, dealing with difficult students, dealing with different types of students, from young learners to adult learners, that sort of thing. It's really interesting actually. And the thing about the teaching methodology course is that you also have the quizzes, as you did in the grammar one, but it also has assignments, and these will vary from 50-word assignments, which isn't a lot, to at the most 600. And these are generally asking you to devise lesson plans to show that you're able to devise a PPP lesson plan. If you haven't done a TEFL, you probably won't know what I'm talking about, but if you have done a TEFL, you will know what I mean by that. And with the assignments, you will send them off as you do them, and they'll get marked by your tutor, or whatever it's called, and they'll send you back feedback. Sometimes you may not pass that assignment. There was only one that I didn't pass the first time that I had to redo, but the people are very supportive. They'll give you guidance, etc. Yeah, that's the teaching measure. I can't even speak, and I'm an English teacher. That is the teaching methodology course. Okay, the last three are a lot smaller. So video observation is basically exactly what it says on the tin. You watch videos of example lessons. Some of them may be good lessons of what good looks like. Some of them may be what bad looks like. And it's pretty obvious to tell which are bad ones because it's obviously acted to be awful. And it just gives you an idea really of the best way to conduct your lessons. You know, if you've got experience of teaching in front of, or not teaching, but speaking in front of a large group of people, which I had from my previous job, you'll find this relatively easy. But if you haven't, this is extremely useful for you. Next up is the large classes one. The only real difference with this, to be honest, is where you may have a class of up to 60 students, which to me just sounds insane, and I would probably kill myself if I was ever in that position at the moment. And the big difference with it really is the fact that you need to divide your classes up into small groups and appoint group leaders, and you will basically hover around the class, monitoring them and joining in as and when. So if this is something that you potentially are going to do if you're teaching in a classroom environment, it's very useful. And the last one, which was most useful for me, is telephone teaching, which is kind of a blanket term for both telephone teaching and also online teaching, which is what I do. And it teaches you the before, during and after lesson plan. And this differs hugely from the classroom environment. That's my experience of it. Because the lesson plan is very different. Obviously, because you're either speaking on a phone or over Skype, it's going to be a different environment in the lesson. So I found this very useful, and there are actually other courses which you can do which go into telephone teaching in more detail. And lastly, I just want to talk about some potential routes that you could take to teach English. I've said already about teaching in classrooms. Normally you would have to have a degree for this, as I said. One great thing to get experience to start off with is to do a workaway. I've done videos about a workaway before. You can check that one out up above. Before I came to Japan, I was going to go to Vietnam to do a workaway teaching children in a language school there, and there's so many of them. It's very easy to sort out a teaching workaway in Japan. Often these will actually pay you as well, a very small amount every month. But in terms of getting a proper job in Vietnam, like I said, you need to have a degree in order to get a work permit. If you're looking to teach online, there are a number of ways you can do it, and I will do a video about this in more detail. You can teach with companies such as VIPKID and DadaABC. I was going to have an interview with the second one, but I decided not to. I will explain more about that in another video. Alternatively, you can also teach online using Italki, Preply and various other teaching apps. To be honest with you, I find Italki the best. The app they make available to you is extremely user-friendly and useful. So yeah, I will do a video in more detail about Italki and Preply and DadaABC going forward. All in all, just to end this video, I will say that I'm really glad that I did the TEFL, because it gave me another skill. It's given me an opportunity to continue travelling by earning money on the road and being location independent. And, you know, it's another skill, and I've really enjoyed doing it, and I'm really enjoying teaching at the moment. First of all, it was slightly scary because I'd never done it before, but I'm now getting into the swing of things. It's been, you know, about a month now. I'm having about 20 lessons a week, which is brilliant. And the feedback I've had from students has been great so far. So yeah, that's my information about TEFL. So if you are looking to do this and you found this video useful, don't forget to leave a comment down below and tell me about your experience. Are you an experienced teacher that's got a TEFL, or maybe you're teaching in another country with a degree as well? Tell me about your experiences below. That will really help out me and also help out other viewers. Why don't check out my social media links, also Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and also Patreon if you would like to support me in what I'm doing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.